to each of you. The day after Human Rights Day in South Africa, to explore a theme that is often overlooked in the legal textbooks, but is vital to our daily lives. Freedom is an inside job. Over the next hour, we will be shifting our focus from the rights granted to us by the world to the dignity we cultivate within us. I'll just tell you a little bit about the Brahma Kumaris. It is a global spiritual movement dedicated to personal transformation and world renewal, founded in 1937 and now active in over 110 countries. The Brahma Kumaris provides a space for people of all backgrounds to explore their inner resources, which keeps individuals rediscovering their self-sovereignty. We believe that we change our inner world, we naturally change the world around us. Thank you. So, I would like to start with a centering session for just 2 minutes to just get us, because, right, so let me go through a bit of a centering session. So what is a centering? So what happens, before we dive into this conversation, right, we want to reclaim our space within these 2 minutes. Because we spend so much of our time reacting to pings, notifications, and expectations of others. For these 120 seconds, we are going to look inward. If you are comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. If not, just let your gaze rest softly on something off the camera. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel the weight of the world drop away. Unclench your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Recognize that in this moment, you don't have to perform. You don't have to like anything. And you don't have to be anyone but yourself. Bring your attention to your breath. It is the one thing that belongs entirely to you. With every inhale, imagine you drawing back all the power you've scattered today on social media, in work, in pleasing others. Pull it back into your center. Silently say to yourself, I am here, I am whole, I am enough. This is your inside job, the quiet space where your self-respect lives. It is unshakable and it is yours. Take one final deep breath. Fill your lungs completely. Hold it for a second and let out with a sigh as you open your eyes and return to the screen that brings you to a sense of inner ownership with you. We aren't here to just listen. We are here to build our own freedom. Welcome to this space. Thank you. Thank you. Give me a thumbs up. How are you feeling? How is everyone doing? Give me a thumbs up. Give me some reactions. Great, great. Awesome. So the next thing, I'm just going to share my screen. This famous person, Nelson Mandela, had said an amazing speech that touched me, and I want to share this with you. Right?
I have walked a long road to freedom. It has not been easy, and I do not pretend that my journey is unique. Many have suffered greater pains. Many have fought harder battles. But what I have learned and what I wish to share with you now is this. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. There were days when the walls of my cell felt tighter than the chains on my hands. But I discovered that even in a place of darkness, the human spirit can remain unbroken. The mind, if kept strong and free, can never be imprisoned. When you face hardship, I urge you, do not retreat. Do not surrender to fear. For fear is not the absence of courage, it is the very thing that calls courage into action. I learned in my years of struggle that forgiveness is power, that to free others, you must first free yourself, and to lead a nation, you must first master yourself. So I say to the youth of today, to the dreamers, to the ones who have been silenced, rejected, or overlooked, walk your path with dignity, lift your voice with integrity, and serve not just your ambition, but a cause greater than yourself. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying. That is all we must do. Try and try again. Build, heal, love, because in the end, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And the world is changed not by perfect men, but by imperfect souls who dare to believe change is possible. I believe in you. I believe in tomorrow. And I believe that the long walk continues not just for me, but for all of us.
I invite you to put one point, one word. How did this make you feel after hearing it? You can type it out in the chat. Inspired, uplifting, hopeful, motivated, encouraged. Wow, such beautiful words. Does anyone want to unmute and say something? It's okay. Long walk with purpose. Wonderful. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to introduce the panelists. So we have 6 panelists. Moon Mogoro, who works across physics, writing, artisan, pastries, and archiving. She founded the Protest Poster Project and Big Mother. Her work centers on archiving, documenting, and remembering. We have Sam Fontaine, Cape Town-based visual artist and storyteller, the Michaelis Prize winner, co-founder of the Abertoy Farm, creating art exhibitions, workshops that bring Indigenous stories to life while mentoring and empowering youth. We have Sejal Jyotish, who is a UCT student, majoring in psychology and industrial psychology, passionate about engaging discussions, travel, music, classical dance, Raj Yoga, with experience at the 2025 G20 Youth Interface Conference. We also have Caden James, an artist and a multidisciplinary creative entrepreneur who studied fine arts at the University of Witwatersrand and works across fashion, art, workshops, and chess tutoring to nurture creativity and critical thinking in young people. Manape Shugole is a program officer for research policy and advocacy of Southern Africa's Resource Watch, a poet and a PhD researcher in development studies focusing on sustainable energy, social justice, and community-centered development. Now we have Cynthia Mapeme, who is a legal practitioner, data protection officer, real estate agent, and an LLM candidate at UCT. So these are incredible people that are going to share with us their thoughts. So we will start first with Sejal and then Caden with a question that I posed to them. Online spaces are designed to make us perform for likes. If you are constantly adjusting your personality, your art, or your opinions to fit what an algorithm wants, who is actually in control of your freedom, you or the code? How do we stop our self-respect from becoming a product for sale? So, Sejal, let us know your thoughts, and then Caden can share some light as well. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning and hello to everyone. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to not only share but also learn from everyone, and especially this very talented panel today. The question is really interesting and very relevant in today's times, seeing as majority of our work and our communication is linked to the internet. Specifically looking at social media platforms, it is important to understand that likes, follows, shares, reposts, it's all a sort of reward system for our brains. And we all know that dopamine is increased and is a way to seek social validation from not only the ones near to us, but from strangers, from people all around the world. This is called extrinsic motivation. Just to give you some facts here. Extrinsic motivation essentially is the external drive or reward that motivates us. This is opposite to intrinsic motivation, which is the internal drive and the will to do something simply because we enjoy it. The issue with social media and trying to further fit into that world, and this is especially seen amongst youth, is that intrinsic motivation is lost. We often lose that love and the joy we felt when posting our innermost creative selves. We then associate our self-worth to how much attention we receive online. And that's essentially how we become a product for sale, because we lose our self-respect as well in that sense. When people try to change their opinion or their creative direction to fit into social media, cognitive dissonance occurs. So cognitive dissonance is the discomfort one might feel if they behave in ways that do not align with their beliefs. To give you an example, I love dancing. And let's say I had to post a page and post my passions. I would be very excited to see how others align with my artistry or they share similar interests with me. But if I get too involved with the numbers and the opinions of the rest of the world, I could lose that joy and that passion. If viewers ask me to dress differently, or they commented on my looks or my facial expressions, I could compare myself and I could try and change to the masses. And that's how cognitive dissonance occurs. And this is something that could cause anxiety, it could cause depression. It's something that happens a lot since we're realigning our beliefs, and that's something that doesn't feel good internally. And that's also a way that we get caged internally. But this doesn't mean that I shouldn't post. It's just that I need to hold that self authority so that I know my worth and I don't allow my beliefs and passions to waver, and to not allow self sabotage by my own thoughts. Self authority is not just telling yourself, oh, I'm in control, but allowing your mind to believe that you have so much power in a single thought to break through anything negative or create anything positive. In doing so, we then show our arts with pure intention. Whatever your art form may be, you do it for the love of the passion. And in that way, you control your freedom. Freedom is truly an inside job because whether we feel physically free or not, our minds can keep us caged infinitely more than any physical barrier. Our inner world is so powerful, and what we think shapes a lot about ourselves. And we saw that Nelson Mandela was saying the same thing. The outcome of all those years in jail would not have been the same. He would not have felt it if he didn't have a strong mindset to push himself through. So, to avoid being a product for sale in online spaces, we need to ensure we build an intrinsic validation to gain from inside rather than expecting from outside. And one can do this in many ways. Some ways that I try and do this is like meditation or focusing on what joys you have currently with you. Because in that sense, you then show your creative self with nothing limiting you. So I want to just leave you with a few like takeaways. Motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic, it's not inherently negative or positive. It's just trying to understand which one your main goal is and for what art form. And as you perform, as you post your creative selves, that you understand why and for whom you're doing it for, because intention is very important. And to build that self authority so we are not caged, because we all know social media is becoming a lot more prominent in this era. And if we do not understand that it's just a small part of ourselves, we could make it a lot bigger than it is. Thank you so much. And if the panel has anything else to add.
Thank you so much, Sejal. We'll get Caden's thoughts on this as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. I really did learn something there. I think to kind of answer this question, I'll maybe give you some of a background to the questions that I've been facing when it comes to online. I mean, online is something that's unavoidable, and it's also something that we can't just neglect. Previously, making practices were far different before, obviously the internet arose, but it's definitely got pros and cons on both sides. So, not this year, the previous year, I'm a painter, by the way, painting practice. And I tried to break into the online space, become somewhat of an influencer, or maybe not an influencer, but become a poster of some kind and like strengthen my online presence. And also my agent spoke to me and said, listen, if you want to get more bookings, then you need to have a better online presence. So I was like, oh, awesome. Let me try posting online. So I tried to make or navigate that online space with some kind of consistency where I was like, man, I'm going to record my painting practice. I'm going to record the things that I do to kind of that inspire my creative practice. And I take a lot of walks with my dog, and as a form of thinking and a meditative practice for me. And I was trying to post that and put that online, and I was getting decent engagement and things, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. But one thing that I noticed is that speaking about that intrinsic motivation was that I began to think a lot about the viewer, right? And the viewer's experience in a way that robbed me of my own authorship, because I felt that in some ways I was catering towards the views, and I was catering towards picking up on like, oh, okay, this video got a lot of likes, so maybe I should do that a bit more, or this one got a lot of engagement and comments, so maybe I should do a bit more of this. And then it took me a while to I think I tried for a couple of months to be consistent. And there's nothing wrong with being consistent. I'm not bashing on anyone that's posting consistently. In fact, I think it's a good thing. But I think I noticed that the rawness of my work, the authenticity of my work was taking a knock. And I had to take a step back and be like, yo, although I'm getting good views all of a sudden and my page is growing or whatever, is this the outcome that I want? And how is it affecting the authenticity of my practice? Because I believe that if you're a maker of any kind, if you're creative of any kind, and I think we all are to some degree, then you've got to realize that the first viewer and the first audience you perform for, I'm a Christian. The first viewer you perform for is God. And how is your practice serving serving something beyond yourself? And then secondly, how is it serving you? Because you are the primary viewer of your work, and you will be able to relate to it and understand it in a way that no one else can. And bringing people into that is an important part of it, instead of trying to reach out into other people's spheres of interest and their spaces. Because at the end of the day, there's also this question of, what do I owe? What do I owe to the people? What do I owe to my community, right? We've been given creative gifts that have an impact on the world and inspire the world. And imagine, for example, Nelson Mandela never shared his thoughts, right? Where would that leave us? And then on the contrary, because of the thoughts shared, which is also a creative practice in its own right, because of the thoughts shared and how much inspiration and also those words we mentioned, those are all gifts we received from somebody else making themselves available. And it also came to a point where my painting practice, I consider it to be a prayer practice. And I was thinking about how it's a very intimate moment, and what does it mean to share that, right? Because it's like I don't want to exploit myself, and I don't want to water down my creative gifts because I want to now share it for external validation, as was mentioned before. And I think I know I'm not really answering answering a specific question, but I'm kind of like provoking a thought, provoking some more questions to build on how to answer that, right? And we do have an extremely big reach with online, whatever platform that is. I think there's a responsibility for all of us creatives to share, but I think finding a medium or finding a middle ground between how we share our work and in a meaningful way, that it also doesn't water us down. It also doesn't, because another thing that I noticed was that all of a sudden I was feeling a bit unmotivated to put in work, because I felt that, oh man, now I'm gonna have to record, and am I gonna do it? Am I gonna be? And I'm becoming a bit self-conscious, like, oh, people are gonna see me in this and that light, and how does that impact my digital footprint and my identity online, and how does that affect my work? Because obviously I am representing my work and my work's representing me. So I think I think it's important for us to share our work. And I think online is a big bridge between us creatives and serving the community in that way. But I think it's important for us to realize how we serve, and also the impact of what we produce. Is it a positive impact, or are we kind of serving the machine in some way? When I say the machine, I mean like um, the online Instagram algorithms that just have endless outputs that people become addicted to in some ways. And how do we realize that our contribution, it could also be negative as much as it could be positive, and the value that we create on what we put out online, how is it going to be impacting viewers, and how is it going to impact our own practice? And I think it's important that first and foremost we find a stable ground for ourselves, and then from there we can bridge out and branch out and begin to share in the online space. I hope that was a bit helpful, and yeah.
Thank you so much, both you, Sejal and Kaden. Amazing. Thank you for talking about experience, what you're going through. It's real, and we need to be open to this realness. So thank you so much for that. We're just going to do an activity now. So just going to share my screen for an activity. So, as we were talking about, knowing the difference, right? So, I want you for a minute to reflect. Having control over your choices, space, and path. Ask yourself, where do I need healthy control and where do I need to let go? Because as we're saying, we need to know the difference. What's serving us and what are we being a slave to? So I give you a moment for that. 1 minute. Great. The next one is in a minute. I want you to reclaim your space. Find one app, one follow, or one notification on your device that is draining your energy, whether it's mentally or physically. Remove it from your space by deleting it, uninstalling it, unfollowing it. I give you a minute for that. Digital dusting. Because the thing is, we're always responding to pings and it's removing our focus from what's really important. Once you're done, we're going to move to the next two panelists. Right. So the next two panelists is Cynthia and Manape. And your question is, it's a question for all of us actually, but they will give their responses. First, Cynthia, then Manape. We have laws that protect our rights, but laws can't force someone to treat themselves with dignity. Is it possible to have all the legal rights in the world and still be unfree because you lack self respect? Where does the law end and our personal responsibility begin? Thank
Good
you.
morning, everyone. My name is Cynthia Mpame, and I will be dealing with the first question, but then I kind of phrased it in looking at what I term the paradox of individuality and the legal aspect. So I went on to define what dignity is, and dignity is defined as an inherent worth, honor, and self-respect that every human being possesses. And I am going to merge this by looking at how dignity plays a significant role, touching on data protection and the legal sector. So the first thing that I identified is that there is a gap that exists between the law, so our data protection, our rights, and what it is and what it can protect. And I went on to look at rights. What would we say rights are? And rights are fundamental legal, social, ethical principles of entitlement. So I actually like what Caden mentioned because he did speak on the digital footprint, which is what my presentation mainly touches on. The law provides a benchmark. It's like a protection that we have, whereby with the fundamental human rights that we have, it defines how we all have rights to privacy, rights to life. But then what the law does not specifically look at is how we act on the internet. So one thing that I've noticed most people fail is that we have the law that regulates us, the law that protects us in the event of cyberbullying when all of these things happen on the internet. But then it does not regulate or push you or control you to post on the internet. So the problem that people face is that they post things on the internet without really thinking or without looking at the value and the perception they are portraying to the public. And when things go wrong because they then start being bullied online or people start sharing their messages, sharing their photos, then that becomes a problem. And that is when people then want the law to come in and act as a buffer and as a shield to what they have done. So I did mention that there is an interplay between the spirit of the individual and the law. So with data protection, remember data protection is here to protect our personally identifiable information, our information. But then the digital footprint, it exists because the law can only regulate. But the information that we give on the internet is our own doing. So we devalue ourselves by posting anything and everything on the internet, because we are seeing celebrities, Hollywood celebrities, posting certain things on the internet. We then want to emulate them. And in wanting to emulate someone and act like someone you are not, because you want to follow a trend, you want to get views, because people then do so many degrading things on the internet. We need to also then remember where the element of dignity and self-respect comes in. I always tell people that it's very important that we look at who we are, how we identify as individuals, the backgrounds we were raised in, the values that embed us, the values that make us who we are. And if you are able to know who you are, it is very possible and very easy for you to be on the internet, surfing through the internet, and you can even find that you won't be posting certain things about yourself, devaluing things. Because remember, people on the internet always have an opinion, and we can't tell the next person not to have an opinion because they are entitled to their own opinions. So the whole thing is that in the term of the question was there's an element of being unfree. So how then do we kind of regulate the legal rights? Is it possible to have all the legal rights in the world and still be unfree because you lack self-respect? It's very true. It's very true, because you find that most people post things in the sense of I have every right. Because rights, remember, rights give you freedom. So I have the freedom to post what I want. I have the freedom to take pictures like this, send them to several people. But then it does pose a significant risk on your self-respect, because a lot of things can go very wrong on the internet. A lot of things can go very wrong when you're communicating with a lot of people. So the element of being unfree needs to be regulated and looked at very well from a personal perspective, because it can lead you to exploitative situations and a lack of self-worth. And sometimes you need to sit down and ask yourself, in the things that I'm posting, in the things that I'm communicating, am I really happy with what I'm doing? Because you might find that you do certain things, but afterwards you have a guilty conscience that always at the back of your mind, because you're thinking, should I have done that? Am I happy with what I've done? So let's also always remember that in each and everything that we post on the internet never forgets, as they say. You'll find that even up to now, things that happened in the early 2000s, videos like that always surf. They come up, because some people even have people. I mean, I still have, I think, my second phone that I had when I was very young, and I still have it and it works. But then, so you find that most of these people can keep certain videos in their phones, certain pictures in their phones. And you also need to remember what the future that you want. Maybe most of you people want to get into career spaces, creator spaces, and imagine how embarrassing it would be when you've made a name for yourself, and a lot of these things that you did when you were young start coming out, and now you're trying to defend yourself. And usually the people usually then go back to saying, oh, I was young then, but it does not excuse the damage that it then does to your reputation and to what you've tried so much to create when you were older. So my closing words would be, let us always just try to make sure that in as much as the law has given us these rights, the law has awarded us protection, the law has awarded us recourse in the event that things go wrong, let us not give people an excuse to bully us, or give people an excuse to say all sorts of things about us because of the content that we post on the internet, because of the things that we say. But let us always be mindful to always embody self-values, to always have self-worth, and to always maintain our dignity for ourselves and for the family members, future generations to come. Thank you.
Wow, Cynthia, so well said. Amazing. Really, really amazing. Madape, would you like to take the floor now? And let's get your perspective. Thank you. Manape, can you
Greetings all. Oh, yes, sorry. Greetings all. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for those wonderful words. I thought I was muted already. I welcome
Yes.
everyone. Yes.
You have your
So,
camera on. Sorry.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great.
yes, my camera is
Okay.
on now. Can you see me?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So, thank you for this reflective question. From a spiritual perspective, I see rights and dignity as existing on two different levels, right, of human experience. On one level, we have the external world, like laws, where we look at Constitution of South Africa, for example, that exists to protect our rights, right, our human rights, and ensure justice. And these laws are essential. They are very important laws. They create structure, and they offer protection, and they hold society accountable. But on the other side, we have, or rather, the other level, we have the inner world, the world of the self. And this is where dignity truly lives. Because dignity is not something that can be enforced from outside, it is something we awaken within ourselves. In spiritual teachings, including those of the Brahma Kumaris, we are reminded each human being is inherently peaceful, inherently worthy, inherently complete. But over time, through inequality, hardship, and historical injustice, people can become disconnected from their inner self, their inner truth. And when this happens, even if rights exist on paper, in policy papers, in policy briefs, people may not feel free and may not feel they are part of those rights or those laws that are written. They may not claim those rights as their own rights, and they may not believe they deserve to be part of those rights, and they may not believe they deserve better. So those rights now starts to reduce them, in a sense. So yes, it is possible to have all the legal rights in the world and still feel unfree, because freedom is not only a condition of the system, it is also a condition of the soul. From me working in policy and community spaces, I've come to see that dignity is the bridge between the inner and outer worlds. We can design the best policies, whether in energy, development, social justice, but if people are not seen, people are not heard or not valued, those policies remain incomplete. But when dignity is restored, people begin to reconnect with their own worth. Something powerful shifts within themselves. They move from being passive recipients of those laws to become active participants, from feeling invisible to becoming visible, from surviving to truly living those rights. So, where does the law end and personal responsibility begin? Perhaps it's not. Perhaps it is not a hard boundary, but a meeting point. The law provides the foundation, but it is our inner awareness, our right, our self-respect, and our spiritual consciousness that gives life to that foundation. And maybe the real work, both spiritually and socially, is to bring those two into alignment instead of seeing a hard boundary between the two. Because true freedom is not just about having rights, but it's about knowing deeply that you are worthy of them. Most sisters at the Brahma Kumaris, they like to talk about sitting on the seat of self-respect, and it is truly that understanding that you deserve those rights, and you are part and parcel of those rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manape, for your sharings and linking the two. Truly,
Thank you very
amazing.
much. Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
platform.
Great. So I'm just going to share my screen for the next activity. How is everyone doing? Great. So we're going to do a bit of a body anchoring, right? Where do you feel self-respect in your body? Put your hand on that spot. Now take a deep breath in. How are you feeling? Right. The next one. I'm not sure if anyone knows about the power poses, right? So I want you to choose any of these 5 poses and put your cameras on and do it. Choose any one of it. The starfish, the CEO, Wonder Woman, the victory pose, executive pose. How does that make you feel? Great. So now we're moving to the next set, the last set, right? The third question. And we invite Moon and Sam to share their thoughts on it. Self respect often requires us to say no to opportunities, groups, or trends that don't align with our truth. In a world where youth are told to hustle and say yes to everything, is the price of self respect getting too high? How do you handle the fear of being left behind when you choose your dignity over the crowd? So, yes, Moon, let us know
Hi,
your thoughts. Thank you.
hi. Thank you for inviting me to this. I'm very grateful. And from the answers before me, I'm realizing that everyone is quite incredible and sharing a platform with incredible minds. To answer the question, I want to start with just saying that, it's not easy to follow your own path. It's not easy to look at the pace that your peers are going, to look at the activities that your peers are doing and not feel left behind. It's a natural human feeling. So when saying create your own path, curate your own journey, set your own personal goals without comparison, because as people say, comparison is the thief of joy. Um, it's not something that, it's easier said than done. So it's also important to just give yourself grace when you have those feelings of, I'm being left behind. Maybe I should just give in and do this. Maybe I should give in and do that so that I can catch up. Um, it's important not to beat yourself up about experiencing those feelings. Um, but in the end, the most important part for yourself, especially, is again creating your own journey and remembering that your self-worth and your self-respect, your self-dignity is the most important thing at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you're alone and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, am I happy with who I am? Um, and no one else, you know, will get to decide that, because the next person can say, I enjoy who you are, and you don't enjoy who you are, so you can't sleep at night because, yeah, you're just not happy with yourself, and that's the most important thing. You need to be happy with you. You need to be happy in your heart, like you did with where does your self-respect sit? And for me, that is in my heart. And yet you can't live a life for someone else. You will be absolutely miserable. So no matter what the next person is doing, do what is right for you, for your health, your mental health. And surprisingly, even if you are left behind, your happiness is at a higher level than most because deciding your own journey, also like Kadon said, it's ultimately living your own truth as well. It feels good, you're never finding yourself at the end of the day sitting there saying, what if, feeling bad about yourself, feeling like you're doing something wrong, feeling guilt, because we're all our own people. We're individuals who've lived different lives, experienced different upbringings. We have different opinions, different ways of looking at life. And that's what's most important, doing what you believe. And once you do that, you kind of get into this mindset of not caring anymore. So, yes, it takes time, but you do eventually reach that stage. And it's the most wonderful feeling. Just not caring, not comparing, not worrying about what I'm supposed to do or who I'm supposed to be. Um, it just brings you so much joy, and you wake up feeling good about yourself, and you go to sleep at the end of the night feeling good about yourself. And I think that's what's most important because, not to be all dark about it and stuff, but if this was your last day on earth, like the Grim Reaper came in and said, you're gonna die tomorrow, you want to be able to say, I'm okay with that, because I lived the life that I wanted to live. So yes, choose yourself. Always choose you. Thank you.
Incredible. Totally incredible. And it's so right. We have choices. So thank you so much for your sharings. I now invite Sam. Let us know your perspective. Thank you. Sam, can you unmute? Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry about that. uh, can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
Hello? Okay. Okay, cool. Now, I was just saying thank you, Moon, for that contribution, and to the other panelists. Thank you, Bash, for the invitation to today's session. And I think, yeah, there's so much that's come up, um, besides the question that you've posed to me, Bash. But I guess I would start by highlighting something that we all innately have, which is love. And one needs to, if one loves oneself, um, one can be devoted to constantly releasing illusion and build a discipline around navigating the world. And part of navigating the world is definitely, as was said, online. And when we do that, we also have to understand ourselves, understand that, yes, we're different. Each of us have our unique abilities and life experiences. But when we look deeply, everything is connected. We're all one. And so it doesn't matter if our peers are what looks like doing the most, because we're all part of each other. And therefore, with that in mind, it becomes easier to understand one's value as a unique being, but also as being part of the collectiveness, an important part of the collectiveness. And being an important part of the collectiveness means that we have responsibility. We are being relied on. Choosing yourself is a necessary act for the health of not just yourself, but the people around you, society, the planet, the spirits that we walk with, your ancestors, the creator. So yeah, I guess that's all that I have to say, but I wanted to leave us with just a melody, to clean out the heart space, because that's also where our respect comes from. It's also where our love comes from, but it's also where our fear comes from, and you have to work with the heart and the gut to drop the mind down, and release all these chains that form from self-imposed things, but also our environment. So I'll just end off quickly. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Wow, that's incredibly beautiful. Yeah, it's so uplifting hearing all the panelists and things like that. It's so touching. Wow, and really, really incredible. I have the last exercise for us to do. So that is, as we spoke about the inner critic, right? So we have this inner critic that's telling us the mistakes that we make. You've let me down. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I can't do this, right? So I invite you to give yourself permission. Write down, I give myself permission to be human. Whatever you want to write, this is just examples, to try something new, to let go, to say no, to rest. Whatever you choose, just for this minute, to do that. Give yourself permission. Thank you. Your freedom starts within. Own it, protect it, live it. I will now invite Sister Dipti to bring everything together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabashni. I feel so overwhelmed by such sincerity of the heart. I think in each one's journey, it's such a beautiful space to be able to just come within and realize how there's so much value in just who we are. And when I become aware of myself and I become aware of my value in that way, then the fullness of my capacity can come out. And as each one shared from all their variety of angles, it became very, very clear that this journey is an inside job. And the more and more this journey is activated from the inside, and I have that deep, deep level of self-respect and self-love, regardless of what happens around me and the variety of challenges I face. I think each panelist today shared such real journeys, and I think what each one of you shared will make the story more fuller and complete. I think every youth out there is trying to find and navigate their path. Each one is searching for freedom. Each one is trying to find the balance of inner expression and outer expression, getting in touch with the self deeply inside, and yet finding a place in the journey of life. And so whilst this whole journey is happening, I think each one here shared such beautiful moments. For me, as I was listening, it was like very important pieces of a puzzle that has come together. And this puzzle is going to show a picture that's going to bring hope and clarity to so many minds and so many beings. So whilst we hold these thoughts powerfully, I just want us to go through a short reflection together to give strength and power to these thoughts. So I invite you just to sit relaxed. Just be present in this moment. Turn within and come back to yourself. Feel the noise of the outside world going into the distant. And hear these precious thoughts that were just shared to echo through your being. Just come back to the self. Come back to peace. Feel connected in this journey and feel the power that is within. I am peace. I am love. I am a powerful human being. And in this journey of life, I don't journey alone. There's a light of love that knows me. There's a light of love that understands me. There's a light of love that knows me and accepts me for just who I am. I draw that light. I draw that love. I draw that power.